We are here with another edition of the Water is Love Live Talks, and today we'll be with Sabine Lichtenfels, who is knowledge and feminine wisdom, and we are very excited to have her here with us today. And I've invited her, and we're just going to take a second to make sure she's with us.
Den Sami dabei und hat deswegen gefragt, können wir es nicht, er will ein politisches Café anbieten,
Sorry?
wir es einverstanden sind. Und da habe ich ihm gesagt, das kann ich und möchte ich auch alleine nicht entscheiden, sondern möchte da mit dir.
Okay.
There we go. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. As I was saying today, for our Instagram Live Talks, in this edition, we have Sabine Lichtenfels joining us, who is a co-founder of Tamara and a carrier of feminine peace knowledge, and has lived a lot of her life in community and honoring water, a spiritual and sacred element. And I'm just so happy to be here with you today and know that we both have a deep spiritual connection to water activism, and just wanted to ask you, what was it like what was the spiritual upbringing that you had that maybe led you on this path or didn't lead you on this path, or what was the initial impulse towards your study in theology and religion and spirituality?
I was always interested in the question, what is the source of life? And when I was 16 years old, I wrote in my diary, I don't know whether I can believe in God or not, but I can't explain me anything about myself, so there must be something. And that I studied theology, it was more because I loved my religious teacher, and he was a left-wing person, and it was very much about building community and being a revolutionary power in a time of war. This was my beginning. And then later I came closer and closer and faced that a big reason that there is so much war going on this globe was the suppression of the feminine divine energy. And this I discovered during my study time very strong. And this guided my way. I did leave church, but I always stayed with the question, what is the divine? Does it exist? And how can we learn to cooperate with the divine beauty of this planet Earth? And how can we develop forms of living together in truth, in trust and transparency?
Beautiful. Thank you for that, and for your study, and for all you went through to be where you are today. And I know that water has also been a spiritual guide for you. And water is also a deeply feminine religious motif, and something that carries through still to today. And I'm just curious, what are some moments you've been guided by water, spiritual practice, or in moments of your life in transition, or when have you leaned on the wisdom of water to guide you?
Oh, there are different levels. One thing is when we discovered Tamara. Tamara, I was looking for 3 years, and we did make a kind of desert camp in different places to figure out which place is calling us to build a community, a new cultural experiment. And in Tamara, it was when I came the first time to the spring of Tamara, I was flashed, because it was this feeling, it was the place, it was the source of the water which were calling me. And I did, I think for 3 years I looked until we arrived here, and it was like coming home. And I felt very, very deep the water as a living being. And another experience, what I want to name, because it was really a life-changing experience for me, that I once nearly left my life in the ocean with the whole group. And there I had this experience where I nearly gave up, and I had no own power anymore. And it was this feeling, this is the way how I die. And there was no more fear. In the beginning, there was a lot of struggle, but then there was this surrendering to the element of the water. And it was really, okay, this was my life. And then I had a prayer experience, which was really deep, that I felt the water as a living being. And I prayed my life prayer because I felt my life is not finished after I already gave up. And then I asked, please bring us out here, all of us. And in this moment, a big wave pushed me forward, and I knew from inside that we will survive. And this is the moment where you meet something from inside and outside becomes one. There is a unity, a connection. And this were my deepest connections, what I have now present when you ask me this question with the water.
Yeah, that's really strong. And I feel that the surrendering and the struggle that we have and not wanting to give up, or the fear that comes in the struggle in all parts of life, I think this is a deep teaching when we
Exactly.
can just let it go and have a prayer for life. Um, and yeah, I'm wondering with this element of water and the idea of water is love. I'm wondering what can we learn about, because I know this has been a deep question also for you. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe at first to let you know that the name of Tamara is, the meaning is at the source of the source. And when I came to the spring, I noticed, okay, at the spring, at the source. And when you ask me what is the connection between love and water, I always like to compare that we have done to the water the same what we have done to love and also to eros. We channeled it to flow in certain pipelines. We used it, we misused it, we mistreated it. And there is so much around forgiveness to really notice, and what we have done to this planet, what we have done to the earth body. And then I often feel that our tears are the opening. Our tears want to flow. And it's like the water really wants to flow and wants to move in a free way. And I feel that water is a teacher for peace. And there is one thing, I think we have one moon, one sun, and one water body. And wherever you are on this planet, water is the same, and water doesn't know borders and say, this is mine and this is yours. In our politics, we handle like this. We think like in scarcity patterns. We want to own things, but the water flows, and the water shows us a lot about purification. And it's always in movement. And in this movement, there is something what does not change. And for me, this is an immense teacher in this trust, in the truth, in the transparency. Water cannot lie. Water cannot water has an inner ethic, and we can discover this ethic, but it will not create an artificial way of laws and orders. And then I often like to compare the water in a way that it's a community teacher, because where the water really can flow and where the water can sink into the earth body, there comes plants, the animal comes back. It creates community. It creates natural biotopes. And there we can learn a lot.
Yeah, and what you just shared made me wonder what it was like in Tamara before the water retention spaces, and what happened when the lakes filled for the first time, and the feeling tone of the community, because I imagine maybe there was scarcity before and then there was a different feeling after, and maybe you can share what was that like to not have water abundance and then to transition into at least having your water needs met there.
I have to say that the vision of the lake, of our first lake, what we did build, we had this already when we were sitting in the stone circle to meditate around Tamara and what it will be. And for me, it's important to mention this because at least 4 people saw a big lake where it is built now. And we did not know how, but the trust that something will happen, that there is abundance in nature, brought us also to this place. It was this vision that from nothingness something will appear. And then the water experts came. Then there was, for one very initiational part was Sepp Holzer. When he came to Tamara, he walked the land and he said, look here and here and here. And he saw the vision so clear. And then people said, but you cannot interfere so strong. This is against nature. And we really asked. We asked the landscape. We asked the trees, where does it want to be? How does it want to be? And then it was amazing how the resonance was. And then if you walk Tamara today, and if you see how it was in a desertification process before, I can say it's really a miracle. There were also challenging times in between because the Polzer always said you should never see that it's an artificial lake. But when the drought came, the lakes became less and less, and we were, how do we act with it that not the scarcity thinking comes back? And it's a lot with the climate change that we don't follow the information of scarcity. And now we are so gifted. It was such a beautiful rain. And it was also a try from our side to communicate with prayers, with songs, with the water body. And we feel really blessed. Also that the water could come in a way that it could sink down to the earth and that it's not creating more harm or more flooding and so on. And it's all about contact and communication and learning about trust, I feel, on a very deep level.
Yeah, and the lake, the first lake that was built in Tamara overflowed this year
Yes,
into
yes,
the overflow areas
yes,
of the retention landscape. And yeah, I saw pictures and we shared some of that. And
yeah,
it was just such a, I could feel it in my body, even not being there, the relief
yeah,
of that and what that feels like because I'm also very intimate with that landscape over the years and could really feel the impact that that
yeah,
has on our bodies even in the water
yes.
side of us. It's really powerful.
Yeah, thank you. There was one co-worker of Tamara, Thomas Lüdert. He passed 1 year ago, and we celebrated the overflow of the water because he was so connected with this vision, and it felt like his soul is there, he is present. We were sitting at the overflow and singing songs and
Beautiful.
expressing our gratitude. And
Wow.
also Bernd Walter Müller was there, came, and the brother of Thomas. And this is always a miracle to see how nature works in cycles and how healing is there as an information if we take it into our heart and really are ready to work for it.
Yeah, that's very moving. And yeah, I'm curious also, there's the community of Tamara and the work, the social work that you do there all together over many years. But what does it take for people in a whole bioregion or a city or elsewhere to, how do you engage in that necessary social healing work to create regenerative places
Mm.
needed for that?
So my part is more on the spiritual level and on the community building level. And there's also the part of the ecological level, and I feel it's more and more becoming a region. So Tamara doesn't end at its borders, and so to create the spaces where communication can take place. And I always love the sentence from the water experts who say, look that you treat your land in a way that no rainwater leaves the land. And for me, this is, you can learn from this in the cities and everywhere, that you ask, from where is my water coming, what I'm drinking, and maybe pray with the water. I loved so much how La Donna Braveheart, Brave Bull said, uh, we in our Lakota tribes always, if we drink, we give some water to the earth body, and to have this awareness around water. This is the information what we can share. And I myself was just last year traveling in Colombia, where we traveled together with Rajendra Singh, and we were there in the peace community. And this is so important. The political aspects are everywhere the same, where we have to come to this awareness. What does our land need from us as human beings? And how can we learn to cooperate in the best way instead of negative thinking and setting borders? And I myself, I participated quite in many pilgrimages around the water, also in the United States, where we walked the Owens Valley, where the water goes to Los Angeles, and noticing how the indigenous people were treated there, and how they are living in zones where it's not, they cannot be who they really are. Yeah, what did we do with human beings, with the water? With, it's amazing, crazy. And nevertheless, the water also gives us hope. And it was very touching when there were a lot of fires in the area around, and the indigenous people, they had the allowance to light the fire, the only ones in the area, and how they pray with the fire, praying with the water, praying with the fire, and from there receiving instructions how our land wants to be treated. I think this is a relearning for all of us. And when I came to the Santa Marta area in Colombia, to the Kogi tribe and the Arawakos, and also to see there how they pray with the water, how they have their little stone circles where they connect with the earth's body, with the heart of the earth, how they say, look, this mountain did not allow us to build something for the handies, the phones, and we have to ask the earth. For them, it's so natural, and their voice is not heard. And then we see that even there, the destruction is happening on such a profound level. And I have the question whether we as humanity will remember who we are meant to be on this planet Earth, or with this planet.
Yeah, I have one more question for you, which what suggestions or advice do you have for young people who might feel a spiritual emptiness in these times and an apathy about what's happening in the world and with the climate or politically? What do you suggest for them to connect with this kind of source? Because for some of us, we're not part of Indigenous communities and
Yeah,
access to that, and it might not be right to just, you know, oh,
yeah.
they're not, so I can try. But as you know, as a white American or other people who don't have access to their Indigenous ancestry, what would you recommend for them to get in touch with that spiritual source?
So the first, that I want to express my gratitude to the filmmakers, because they connected on a beautiful way with the young people, and to give hope to the young people. And what would be my advice? I feel that put the handy aside at least 2 days in the week. Find your close community, find your people around in your area, and look what can be your participation in the healing work of this planet. You are so young, and I feel, of course, we cannot all connect with the indigenous wisdom, but there is a memory. And we can, if we go to spaces in the landscape, if we ask ourselves, how can I come in contact? We will discover that all beings carry consciousness. And we are part of this. We are part of the earth body. And I would say this to every elder and to every young being, Let us take responsibility. Let us give response to the beauty of life and dare to share our truth. And of course, it's a relearning of how to build community in a time where the mistrust is so strong, where the worldviews are so strong, creating borders. And let us learn to trust from the water how to overcome borders. This would be my...
Yeah, thank you for your wisdom and for your time and for your care and your vision and, being such a big part of bringing water to a desertified place and nourishing it for probably now generations to come. Thank you for your work.
Thank you for inviting me, and I wish you really success in your work, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Ciao, bye-bye.